Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Inside Inter Miami, the Miami Herald's Inter Miami podcast. We're your hosts, Andre Fernandez and Michelle Kaufman, just recording this just hours after another moment of Messi magic, moments, plural, of Messi magic that once again led Inter Miami to another big win in the League's Cup, 3-1 victory over their state rivals, Orlando FC. Let's talk a little bit, just dive right in. Michelle, another, great plays, performances, everything, a little bit of everything from Messi. Kind of showed the intensity too a little bit last night. In some moments, even when he wasn't scoring, just it kind of good sign to see that this means something to him already. Him being here and fighting with his teammates to get a big win.
Oh yeah, I mean we saw the Mad Messi last night. This is I put in my story this morning, and yes, it's only a few hours since we got home from that game.
Yeah.
So I didn't get home till 2 a.m. from that game after the rain delay, which was an hour and a half. By the way, an hour and a half rain delay. I don't think a single person left. I think more people arrived during the rain delay.
There you go.
There were about 600 short of a sellout. It was 21,000 something. A great crowd that waited out an hour and a half for and they got their money's worth. Messi showed how much this means to him. I put in my story today, anyone who thinks that this guy was here to go on vacation, to coast, no. He showed that he really cares and he really wants to compete. And he was very physical. I mean, Orlando did not show him the deference that Atlanta did. I felt like Orlando came in pretty chippy and pretty ready to compete. They weren't going to be intimidated by him. And and he fought back. He hip checked a guy. He was, you could see him jostling around and talking to the ref, complaining to the ref. So he showed that he's already deeply embedded in this. It's like he's only been here a few weeks and he already hates Orlando. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't even know anything about.
Right.
He knows nothing about that team. I'm sure he has no history.
He just got
them.
here. He just got here. Now he's a Miami. He's a South Florida resident. So now already he's like feeling it.
Right. He's already bought in. He's only been here a few weeks, and he's already bought into the Miami rivalry against Orlando, which is like Orlando and Miami have always had that geographic rivalry, because even with sports, without sports, Orlando is sort of the theme park city of Florida. Like their big celebrities are Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. And, South Florida is like the cool, glamorous celebrities, movie stars and musical stars and Messi and all this stuff. So there's always been that kind of rivalry between these two cities. And Messi is like, he just got here. I'm sure he's been to Disney World, but all of a sudden he's like deeply embedded in this rivalry, and he's like messing around with Orlando. And
the fans allegedly, right, they faced this mural. I mean, how dare they? He probably knows about that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a mural, a beautiful mural actually that was painted by. There were a lot of murals of Messi when he first got here in Wynwood, but one of the biggest ones was painted by the members of Vice City 1896, which is one of the big supporter groups of the team.
Right.
And one of the members of that group is an artist and did a beautiful mural, and it's got Messi on it. And last week, by coincidence, last Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, that was vandalized, and there was purple paint thrown, all of it purple, Orlando City, that's their color, purple paint thrown on the mural, and the words in purple written, "Florida is purple," written on there. So obviously the Miami fans just assumed that the Orlando City fans were the culprits. So the beef started right there. Well, the beef had started before, but the beef heated up and bubbled up with that vandalism. And Messi came into that game as if he were a member of Vice City. He was like totally into it from the beginning. And once again, scores in the 7th minute, again, linking up with Robert Taylor. Just Robert Taylor
Yeah.
and Leo Messi have developed a real, partnership there that who knew? I mean, who knew? We were thinking whatever, Joseph Martinez and Busquets and whatever, but Robert Taylor has been huge in these, since Messi arrived. Robert Taylor was already a good player and had shown flashes and had some good goals before, but he and Messi are really understanding each other really well. So, he scores in the 7th minute. The place goes insane. And but then Orlando, 10 minutes later, they equal it up. They score the equalizer, and it's like, okay, this is going to be a really serious game here.
Right.
And it was. And going into halftime, going into the tunnel, Messi was still, knocking it around, and sort of there was a little shoving going on going into the tunnel. You could see his attitude. You could see that this guy, he's not only finesse on the ball, but he's tough. He's tough, and he's not going to let anybody push him around or whatever. So it was really, really fun to see. And then on the the big controversy came up where Orlando is called for a PK, and it was questionable. I'll admit it. It was a questionable call to call a PK there. It looked like Joseph Martinez may have done a little bit of diving and acting, but they called the PK. And then Messi showed right there in that moment the kind of teammate that he's already become. He could have taken the PK. He's Lionel Messi. He let Joseph take the PK. Joseph had been struggling. Joseph is dying to score, hungry to score, has been through a drought, and Messi defers to him, lets him take the PK. Joseph scores. The two of them celebrate like crazy, and and they end up winning. And then he scores again. And then Messi scores again. Just a beautiful
from Joseph, right? The third
from
one.
Joseph. So he returned the favor. Yeah, that one
Right.
again. Robert Taylor sends it into Joseph Martinez, who could have taken a shot. He was in position to take, but he saw that Messi was open and had a little better chance. He gives it to Messi. Messi scores. So great teamwork there. Leo Messi has shown from day one here that he's a great psychologist too. Getting in good favor with his new teammates. He bought the whole team Beats headsets after the first game, or right before the first game. He bought the entire team, the pink and black Beats that they're wearing that you see. Messi bought those for all the teammates. He stays after practice to help the young players. He clearly, cares about Joseph Martinez, deferred to him to let him score that PK. So he's just really, blended in so quickly, is already hating at Orlando. He's already a full-fledged South Florida, practically a native, and he's been here for 3 weeks. So yeah, it's just incredible. Again, I rub my eyes because I keep saying, is this a dream? Is Leo Messi really out there playing in a pink Inter Miami jersey with Busquets on the field? And then Alba, we can talk about him, coming in.
Yeah.
It's really a dream. The South Florida sports dream season, dream year just continues, because this year has been incredible for South Florida sports. Yeah. And for Messi to show up, and where's this adjustment period that I thought was going to be? I thought there was going to be an adjustment period. I thought, okay, he's going to have to adjust to the league. He's going to have to adjust to the heat and humidity. No, there has been no adjustment period. He walked in here and has taken the team and the league by storm. And it's just been mind-boggling, really mind-boggling to watch.
Yeah, and I know you can appreciate this as a proud Killian alum. That took me back to like those schoolyard antics pregame. Where you go and you deface the other team's field. You were part of that in the Killian Palmetto days, and the big cat and stuff like that.
Palmetto, yes.
Yeah, so
those rivalries, and you know what? That's what MLS also needs. MLS needs. They have all these great stadiums. They have all this team. They do all this marketing, a lot of good marketing and all that stuff. Now they have Apple behind them. These are all things to help grow the league. But what they really need They need some chippiness. They need some rivalries. They need some teams that hate
Add
each
some
other.
spice to this
They
thing,
need,
right?
yeah, they need players that hate each other. And by the way, Inter Miami is now, as usual, Miami is, everyone hates on Miami. Everyone hates on Miami, the city. Everyone hates on all the Miami sports teams. And this now continues. There is no team in MLS at this moment that is hated more than Inter Miami, even though they are in last place. There has never probably been in the history of sports, certainly not in the 35 years that I've covered sports, I have never seen a last place team that is more hated, that is more a target of the rest of the league than this team. Everyone hates this team. Everyone is annoyed by this team that they somehow got Messi, Busquets, and Alba, three superstars, three of the best players in the world are all of a sudden playing on this team. They've won all their games since Messi arrived. They're now, move on to the round of 16 of the Leagues Cup. Everyone in the league for sure is hating on this team. They have a gigantic pink target on their backs. Everyone wants to knock them out. Everyone wants to, prove that they can beat Messi. And so far, nobody has. And it is the best thing that could have happened to MLS and to Apple TV is this whole thing, this whole narrative, because you've got a team and it's going to be, the cups are exciting that are happening now. They're knockout games and all that. But when the league resumes and Inter Miami's sitting down there in the basement still with Messi and those guys, everyone is going to want to keep them in the basement. So everyone in the league is going to play their best. They're going to bring their best. And guess what? There is going to be pushing and shoving, and they're going to be physical on Messi. And the question is going to be, what do the refs do? How do the refs handle Messi?
Right.
Because I think it's going to be a very contentious rest of the MLS season. When the regular season resumes, it's going to be really interesting to see. But this is, in my opinion, the best thing that could have happened to MLS. Not only having Messi here, obviously that is just drawn eyeballs from all over the world to this league and to this team. But on top of that, it's going to elevate the play of everybody in the league because everyone now wants to beat this team. Everyone wants to show that they can beat Lionel Messi. And that is going to elevate the league around the world. It's going to elevate the play. It's going to elevate rivalries, not just with Orlando, but with other teams. I think it's going to be fascinating. They're about to have their first road trip now. Messi on the road. Yeah. Messi has not been on the road yet. This is going to be a new one. He's not going to be the home. He's not going to be the home team. It's going to be in Dallas. Those people are going to be booing him. They're going to want Dallas to win. This is a knockout game, round of 16. This is going to be a new experience for him to go on the road and be the visitor. So, there's a lot of fun that's going to be had on Sunday for sure in Dallas.
The last time we saw something like this was when the big three were here with the Heat, and the entire league, everyone was hating on the Heat, and everyone wanted to beat LeBron and Wade and Bosh. And this is like the soccer version. I mean, I read something today just to add to, what you were talking about recently. They're the most Google searched team now, ahead of even Manchester United. And when you talk about a global brand of a team like Manchester United, for them to surpass that, like you're saying, a cellar dwelling team until the other day, well, it still is, but in terms of now, it's this rock band now that's going to take the road and take their act to Dallas now. And yeah, we'll see. I mean, it'll be curious to see what the reception is going to be like. Are there going to be a lot of Messi fans there? I bet there probably will be. But will it be enough to not get drowned out by a lot of haters and a lot of Dallas fans that are going to be feeling the same way as their team? And yeah, imagine if you're a defender for Columbus or Houston or whoever, and you're the one that has to mark him. Imagine that intensity you're going to feel like, oh my God, okay, I can't look weak here. And sometimes they're giving them that respect. We've seen that where they back off, and in the second they do, he makes them pay. So all that's going to be intriguing storylines as we go forward.
Yeah, I want to bring up the thing about the Messi jerseys in Dallas. It's going to be interesting, when they St. Louis, when they were playing, St. Louis like posted a thing that you can't wear you can't wear opposing teams' jerseys, inside the stadium or whatever. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how many Messi fans show up in
Right.
Dallas because, yeah, I mean, Dallas is going to be the home team, but Messi is like a nation in and of
Hmm.
himself. You know what I mean?
Right.
There is the Messi nation out there. I took a picture that I posted on Twitter yesterday. I just happened to be walking by a random group of fans, just a random group of fans in the parking lot. They all had on number 10. Some were Inter Miami number 10s, Messi. Some were the blue and white stripe, Albi Celeste, the Argentine national team
Argentina.
number
Right.
10. And then there were even a few Barcelona number 10s. But everyone in that state, I would say not everyone, but out of the 20,000 people who were at that game last night, I would say 2/3 of the people in the stadium were wearing Messi merchandise. Okay. Not just Inter Miami merchandise, but Messi merchandise of some kind. A lot of it Argentine jerseys that people have had over the years. Now, this is South Florida. There are 150,000 Argentinians here. So, obviously, there are a lot of people in this community that own Argentina number 10 Messi jerseys. I will be curious to see in Dallas, which is also, has a large immigrant population, from Mexico, from Central America. Will there be a large number of Messi fans showing up with Messi jerseys, with Argentina jerseys, or will it really be all Dallas fans wanting to knock off Inter Miami? But it's going to be fun. I mean, this whole thing, it's just happening so much quicker than I thought. I really did think, okay, 2024, this is going to be, these guys are going to come, they're going to adjust, they probably won't even make the playoffs. I'm rethinking everything now. I really am. I'm thinking anything is possible. I really am thinking anything is possible. I even joked, but it was half joking to some of the guys on the PR stuff and women on the PR stuff last night. I was saying, what if you guys win the treble? What if you win the Leagues Cup, the US Open Cup, and the MLS Cup? I mean, can you even imagine? I know that sounds, it sounds a little bit cuckoo. It sounds local, but the way
Well, two
right
out of
now,
three don't. 2 out of 3 don't right now. Not honestly, the way they're playing. I know there's a few more rounds in this tournament, but the way they're playing, I mean, I don't. It doesn't sound that local, to be honest. I mean, the tough one obviously would be the league title coming all the way from the cellar, but
yeah,
yeah.
no, it's gonna. And then the next round, I believe it's very complicated, but I believe if they win in Dallas, if Miami wins in Dallas, then the quarterfinal would be here. It would be a home game, and I think I think the later rounds they would host. They would be host of most of the rounds. So they're going to have home field advantage again. So they really, if they get through this Dallas game, I think they have, I don't want to say easy, there's nothing easy. And like I said, everybody wants to beat them, but I think they will have some home games coming up in the later rounds of this tournament. And, that would really favor them. And, obviously with all the love for Messi and now with Busquets and Jordi Alba, last night they introduced Jordi Alba. He
Yeah,
just
let's
arrived.
talk about Jordi Alba. Let's see what his debut
Jordi
is.
Alba, he just arrived on Sunday. He trained for the first time on Monday. And then Wednesday, 3 days later, they did a presentation for him. They gave him his jersey. He said some nice words, and then people were chanting, Jordi, Jordi, Jordi. And he got in. He got into the game, as did Diego Gomez, the new Paraguayan young player. By the way, the transfer window closed last night at midnight for MLS. This is the best. I mean, without question, the biggest haul of any MLS team in history to bring in Leo Messi, Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba. Okay, we'll start with those three, and then another three young rising players. Facundo Farias from Argentina, rising star there. Tomas Aviles, a center back, also from Argentina, very young. These are all under the under 22 initiative. And then the Paraguayan Diego Gomez, who got to play last night and showed that he's not afraid of anything. That guy is fearless. He got like a yellow card or whatever. So you've got the three superstars coming in. Then they bring in 3 under 22 players through the under 22 initiative. Every team is allowed 3 players under 22 who are rising players and can have very large salaries, but their salaries don't count very much against the salary cap. They're allowed until age 25, they're allowed this special designation of U22, which means that you signed under U22 initiative. So for the first 3 years of your contract, your budget cost is not as high as it would be if you were over the age of 22. So, they've brought in these 3 very young, promising players, in addition to the 3 superstars that came in, the Barcelona, reunion tour, as I'm calling it. And so they've got 6. They brought in 6 new players. All 6 are players who are clearly going to have significant time on this team. It's really a complete summer makeover that this team has done. It's the biggest makeover in MLS history in a summer window. It's unbelievable what they've done. With the owners of the team, Jorge and Jose Mas, David Beckham, Chris Henderson, the sporting director, it's just been incredible. And Tata Martino walks in, Phil Neville is probably sitting there right now going, wow, if I had this roster, I wonder what I could have done, because this is a whole new team. This is not the same team that Phil Neville was coaching 1 month ago. This is a completely different team that we're seeing now. And it's just going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it definitely, I mean, it's one of the biggest overhauls I think in sports history. I mean, I know I mentioned it last week. This is like, to me, this is like a football team that's 0-8 suddenly getting, a Dan Marino back in the day or someone like that. And or Michael Jordan going to a team that's 10-50 in the NBA and suddenly just resurrecting
not just
a team
Michael
altogether.
Jordan, bringing in a team that's 0-50 and having they signed Michael Jordan, LeBron, and Kobe.
Right. You're bringing in Jordan, Pippen, everybody.
Exactly. Everyone, they bring him up. Yeah. Let's pick the 3 best players in the NBA and let's bring them onto this terrible team and let's see what they can do. I mean, it's quite an experiment to see. And I really didn't think that 3 players or 2 players one player would make such a big difference, but clearly they do. They've elevated everyone else on this team. Every single guy has said it to a man, that they are finding players in spaces that they never knew existed. And they are learning to play in a way that they didn't play before. It's really been fun to watch. And, the one thing that I mentioned it last time, but I'll mention it again because I saw the ticket prices again for this game. The cheapest ticket up until at least the night before the game, cheapest ticket was $140 to sit in a corner seat, $140. And, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. That's $560 if you have a family of 4, $280 to go to a game, just you and your spouse or you and your partner, whatever, you and your friend. That's a lot of money to shell out. And obviously they're getting 20,000 people. So people are showing up even on a weeknight, even in the rain. They got 20,000 people to pay prices. But I do feel at some point, I hope that they can lower the prices and have some tickets at a lower price point, because so many fans of soccer are working class people who, have just such a passion for the sport. And yes, there are a lot of bandwagon now, people that are just jumping on board who never even watched soccer before, and Messi's in town, and, all the musical acts are there, and Camila Cabello is there, and, all the rappers, everybody's there. So people want to go see what's it all about. But the diehard fans who are working class people who work all week, really hard, they deserve a chance to also see this incredible sports story in South Florida. And I hope that Inter Miami will find a way to keep some of the tickets at a lower price. It's hard with such a small stadium. Obviously, if they're playing in a bigger stadium, and maybe if they make a cup final, Jorge Mas said that they would definitely consider playing at Hard Rock. So in that case, there would be lower price points, I'm sure, I would hope, at a big stadium. But even with a small stadium, I would hope that there's some percentage of tickets that could be sold at a lower cost for people who really can't afford to go to these games anymore, nor can they afford the Apple TV pass that you need. It's not even on regular TV. You can't even watch it on your local broadcast. if you don't have enough money to go see Messi in person, you can't even watch it on TV unless you've subscribed to Apple, to the MLS season pass. All of these things are costly for a lot of people.
Or if you know Spanish, maybe if you're lucky, Telemundo or Univision happen to be putting it. But I don't think they're doing that for every single one. So
they're not. Yeah, my mom, for example, watched one of the games on Univision, and she was really happy that it was on. But then the next game, she went to turn it on the second game, and she was like, they didn't have it on, and she was really frustrated.
Like last night.
So
right.
Yeah. So, I really hope that they can make it accessible, a little more accessible. This story is just too great. And Leo Messi is, such an icon to so many people and to a lot of people of all different economic brackets. And I hope that this show is not just for rich people. I hope that this show can also be for everybody who loves Leo Messi and everyone who loves Sergio Busquets and everyone who's going to jump on board and be a fan of this team. Let everybody get a chance to watch them. I really do hope that happens, because this is quite a show. And we're only in August. We still have August, September, and October. We've got 3 more months of this show to see what happens. And if they make the playoffs, it could go on into November. So there's a lot of fun, a lot of drama coming up. And we hope that also all of you keep coming back. Subscribe to our YouTube, subscribe to the Miami Herald Sports YouTube channel. Keep following us on audio, on video. We want to be one of your go-to source, your go-to podcast while you're doing whatever you're doing. Be sure to tune in to Inside Inter Miami with Andre, with Michelle. We want to be with you every week, every Thursday. We woke up really early this morning because we didn't want to give you a lame, stale show where we're talking about heading into the game, and you would have turned it off immediately, you listeners and viewers out there.
Right.
We said we're getting up early, even though I got them at 2 a.m. I said, let's do this at 7:30. Let's get this out with all the live stuff. So thank you so much for joining us. Keep watching, pass it around, send the link to all your friends. And this show is going on the road now. This show is going to Dallas. This show is going to Dallas on Sunday.
Which I just looked up. Dallas came down here and won the first time they played in April, 1-0, but they're going to encounter a completely different team when it's in their backyard, coming up this Sunday up in Frisco, Texas. But like Michelle, you covered it pretty much there. All they need to know, what people need to know is it's almost, even though it's almost football season, there's going to be football and there's going to be football going on at the same time, and just as good. So everybody stick with it and keep checking us out here. Like Michelle said, we're very thankful you have picked up this podcast and continue to watch it and listen. Remember, we're available on all the podcatchers, on Apple, Spotify, you name it, all of them, and of course on YouTube and at MiamiHerald.com. So we'll be back with another episode next week where we'll be recapping the round of 16 game for the League's Cup to see if Inter Miami is still alive in the tournament or what happened there, and then preview the next round. As we know, from the looks of the bracket right now, it'll either be the Houston Dynamo, it could be Charlotte, or it could be Cruz Azul, the team that Inter Miami already faced in the opening round. So interesting, no doubt, as we move forward. So for Michelle, I'm Andre Fernandez. Good to see everybody, and we'll see you again next week.